I remember when I was a kid being like on a school bus and having a window seat, just spending like an hour, everything we bussed by, I would like transform into this world. I made all the roads into rivers and the buildings into these like otter fortifications made out of wood. I want to imagine these worlds and go to them. I have to draw, it feels like. I have ideas and they need to get out, so I just capture them. The world's really hard, and we have to sort of find ways to have fun in the nooks and crannies of the difficult blocks of life that make up our lives. Helped me just have something to hold on to, have something to do, look forward to. Trying to celebrate even when things are terrible is one way to survive. My name is Will Santino. I'm a cartoonist and illustrator. So I've always loved drawing cartoons. A couple of years ago, I made a joke. I think I said like, that would be funny drawn. And my friend said like, oh, you should draw it and submit it to the New Yorker. And I just like Googled, how do you submit things to the New Yorker? And I submitted that single cartoon. It said Jackson potluck. And it showed him just like spilling a dish at a potluck everywhere. And I was like, I think it has a chance. Of course, not at all, but something about submitting it, it was just like this epiphany of like, oh, like that was all I had to do was draw it and submit it. On the page for submitting cartoons, it says, submit no more than 10 a month. I decided, okay, 10 cartoons a month, I can do it. Growing up, my brother Ian and I always had this kind of bond of silliness. I knew his sense of humor and I could make him laugh. He was sort of the quintessential older brother. I would doodle cartoons, be like, is this funny? He always taught me that like, you gotta take chances. In this incredibly lucky turn of events, we ended up in the same city in our mid-20s. And we had this really awesome year. We hung out all the time, did a bunch of fun stuff. And then the next year, he was diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer. I always thought I'm gonna be in a world with my brother forever. And then eventually, towards the end of 2017, he passed away. All of the cliches are true. You really don't know when the last time you're gonna see somebody is. You really ought to live every day like it's your last. But even having learned that and experienced that, it's so easy to just forget. One way I survived that time was drawing these cartoons. There were definitely cartoons where I was like, man, this is the one. I like this one, it's perfect. At some point it was kind of just like, it's probably not gonna happen, but I'll submit anyways, this is fun. It felt like honoring Ian in some way, just because he was always somebody who, once he decided to do something, really followed through with it. I think I had submitted about over 400 cartoons at that point. And then a couple of years ago, I sold my first cartoon. It's just like a couple seconds of bewilderment. I'm just like, oh my God. I've sold 7 cartoons now. I think of 6 ideas a week, 6 silly, absurd ideas that I think are funny, and I submit them. I try not to overthink it. I think it's easier and more fun just to kind of just play around with whatever ideas are knocking around in my head. The process of coming up with a cartoon is essentially the process of having inside jokes with yourself, trying to make yourself laugh, I guess. So an early one that I liked a lot has a brontosaurus. Let me draw it for you. So it's a brontosaurus, more or less, except It looks like this. His head's down here, and he's talking to another dinosaur. Let's make it a Triceratops. And the Brontosaurus says, "My greatest fear is being misunderstood." I'm lucky enough to work part-time currently, about 20 hours a week for a whiteboard animation studio. The people who support me on Patreon is what helps me close that gap financially. Pretty soon here, I'm going full-time freelance. And what I really want to do is illustrate my own imagination, the fantasy worlds or the cartoons, like coming up with my own ideas. It's so crazy that people are just like, yeah, I love your work and I want to see more of it, so yes, of course I'll support it. Living through what I lived through with Ian has taught me that, like, you gotta take the chances. I don't know if I'm gonna get sick. I don't know if I'm gonna get in a car accident in 3 years. I could probably keep working an office job for another 4 years just to save up, but it's just like, you gotta do what you love.